Rams, and welcome to Clash of Rams Episode 2. I'm your host, Stuart Smith.
And I'm Allec Brust.
And I'm Juan Caro.
And on today's episode, we will be discussing immigration and DACA. So, my first question is for Allec. What do you believe is the biggest problem with immigration right now?
Well, right now I think that the biggest problem is finding a solution for DACA because, you know, DACA is a temporary problem for a very exigent issue that we need to find a permanent solution for. I mean, it doesn't only affect people nationally. This is also a local problem. I mean, we have almost 200 students here at CSU who are, you know, protected under DACA, and so we need to keep them in mind so that they can continue to get their education here.
And Juan, what do you think?
I want to quote Bill Clinton here really quick. One of these areas is the problem of illegal immigration. And Allec Brust, look no further. We have a solution. Donald Trump has gone towards a solution, and the Democrats have been hysterical about it. It's a fantastic approach. Pressure Congress into passing the DREAM Act like they should have in 2012. DACA could be easily removed, as easily as it was implemented.
Yes.
It's unconstitutional. Obama said it was unconstitutional 22 times.
Well, and it's unconstitutional because it was an executive order, and it is also temporary, and so we can't just keep DACA around without coming to a permanent solution. I believe that permanent solution is the DREAM Act. Yeah,
and there's another approach. DACA was not a path to citizenship. If we have 800,000 people in the United States that want citizenship, why don't we start accepting them, like Rand Paul said?
Oh, yes.
Through the quota of 1 million immigrants a year legally accepted into the United States?
Yeah, we take in about 1 million immigrants a year legally. And so and what Rand Paul was saying is that we could phase in these new DACA recipients in increments of 200,000 into the 1 million people per year, that we could just add those to the, you know, yearly quota. But Juan, I would just like to ask you, and I think that we are agreeing mostly on, you know, there needs to be a permanent solution, and that is the DREAM Act, and it needs to be passed within the next 6 months.
Well, of course, and you know, Republicans are making the call to action right now, and Donald Trump's going to put pressure. But we need to see past the narrative that's sometimes painted and see what he's trying to do. He's trying to pass the DREAM Act. This is good. This is good stuff.
Okay, so my next one is going to both of them, but it's going to Juan first. Moving away from DACA and the DREAM Act, what are your thoughts on just refugees coming from places like the Middle East and that area coming into the United States?
So, for example, with Syria, right, and with the travel ban. Donald Trump had a travel ban in the beginning, right when he was elected, and there was a lot of problems with that. There was a lot of hysteria, and I guess the process behind that is there's 18 million people in Syria. We can accept 100,000, 200,000. We can accept 1 million, and we still don't help the 18 million people that are there in trouble. We need to help them at home. We also need to make sure that the people we're accepting from certain countries, that they agree with the United States and that they're allies with the United States in a way. 21% of the people in Syria agreed that ISIS was a good group. We can't accept that. So we need to find a way to vet people when they need refugee status and allow them to come to the United States properly. And that they're people that are going to benefit our society. And again, we can't just solve the problems of Venezuela, Syria, and all these countries that are in humanitarian disasters by accepting 18 million of their population.
Okay.
And Juan, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of countering this with another question. Juan, you were actually involved in the Muslim ban. If you recall, back in February, you actually counter-protested and correct me if I'm wrong on this information, but you counter-protested with a free speech wall on the plaza of CSU's campus when the Dreamers were protesting the Muslim ban back in February.
Was that the Muslim ban, or was that just protesting Trump blindly? Because they did that a lot. Just the Democrats in general did that a lot. That was also us trying to get our point of view across. We have people that just want open borders, and we want to explain that there are consequences to open borders. And I'm an immigrant. I came here legally. I'm one of the million people that came to this country legally back in 1999. And there's a process, and it's in place for a reason. There are certain people in these countries that are torn apart that you don't want just coming to the United States.
Yeah, but do you believe that a wall that is going to cost, and this is according to Homeland Security, it's going to cost about $21.6 billion, and that's not even including maintenance fees. Do you believe that this is something that the American people should be paying to have this wall erected when we could be looking towards different solutions?
I think the wall might not be the most efficient approach, and there's better approaches. Just by Donald Trump being elected alone, illegal immigration has dropped down 47%. Just by the idea of Donald Trump being in office, we saw a drop in illegal immigration. We decentivized people because they knew that there was consequences to committing that illegal act. So the wall might not be the most efficient, but we do need to secure our borders. We can't just allow this to continue.
Yeah, and I think that we've come to a consensus that first we need to look internally, and we need to work on DACA, and we need to work on passing the DREAM Act before we can look towards external factors. And you've communicated that to me. Can we agree on that?
I think that we have 800,000 people in the United States. They came here illegally. Most of them, it wasn't their fault. Some of the people here under DACA are even the age of 35, and we have a wide range of people that are receiving it. These people have gone through background checks, they've gone through fingerprints, and we accept 1 million people a year. So we should start accepting them, but we should close DACA so that we're not incentivizing more people to come illegally to the United States under these programs.
Propose like similar to Reagan's amnesty plan that he passed when he was in presidency regarding to immigration, or do you just believe that we should phase them in, such as the Rand Paul plan?
I think we got to do it step at a time, one step at a time, and we're on the right track. We get rid of this incentive, and we start allowing them, and like Rand Paul said, would be great. But we can't just increase our quota.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question is, what do you two believe that you can agree on about this issue?
Well, Stuart, I think that we can agree that, and like I stated earlier, I believe that we need to look internally and focus on the DACA recipients and passing the DREAM Act first before we look towards anything else. And then we can look towards something similar to what Juan was suggesting and what Rand Paul was suggesting of phasing in these DACA recipients and then looking towards those external factors and moving forward with immigration from an external point of view.
I in a way agree. I think that the 6-month plan that Trump placed there to protect the recipients and to pressure Congress is important, and we're going to shift. We were in a dangerous spot where a court could have easily shot down DACA, and we would have 800,000 people in a worse spot than they are today with Trump's plan. So it's a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. We could be scrambling in 3 months because we didn't see the consequences, and a court could have shot it down the same way they shot down DAPA.
Well, Rams, thanks for watching Clash of Rams this week. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks to watch the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. God bless.